what is happening in Oklahoma and why does that matter? Cooper Mays, what do people need to do if they would like to be a part of the program on a regular basis?
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
All right, what down?
Coop here. First down.
All right. Tell me the latest on Brent Venables, Caleb Calhoun.
So, as Oklahoma moves into the SEC, the Sooners have decided to give him a new 6-year deal.
6 years. Why? And don't give me the amount yet. I want to get into the amount, and I would like to discuss the buyout if you can find that. But first, why 6 years, do you think? Because the traditional thinking has always been 5 years, because then you're telling a prospect that I will be here, even though they could fire him anyway, for as long as you are. That's the thinking, right, Caleb? So why would you think 6 years? I don't know that I've even heard of 6. I've heard of like 10. I think Nick Saban got a 10 and then a lifetime. But I don't even know that I've heard of 6. Why 6?
I don't know exactly why it is right at 6. It does. I guess they want him through the end of the decade, I think, is the way they're looking. And I believe that they just wanted to get this out of the way before they moved into the SEC, because I think there's a lot of things happening with the move into the SEC. And I think, while I am not, if I'm Oklahoma, I think they're very satisfied with his 10-win season last year. I think that they think that shows are on the up and up. Now, I think that was a very overrated 10-win season. They got a very lucky win on Texas that they did not deserve. And they lost to Kansas and Oklahoma State. So I'm not high on Oklahoma. But I also think that I think they think that 10-win season meant something. I don't think it did, but that's that's their thought.
Well, it meant something, but you and I think it, and I agree with you, it's fluky. And that the previous year was as much of an indicator as how good of a coach Venables is going to be when they were horrid. And it's probably somewhere in the middle.
They played 3 ranked teams and they lost 3 games.
All right. So second down by Cooper. Let me ask you this. How many years does Venables make it through that contract?
Oh, you didn't set up Cooper for me.
I did, but you were speaking.
I think he's done after 2.
I will agree. 2 is my number. All right.
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
Third down. Is there any chance they come calling for Josh Heupel? I want to be real clear here. I'm not shooting, just getting you riled up. That's not my goal. I will state my position. I don't think there is any tie of significance between Oklahoma and Josh Heupel. As a matter of fact, I think the connection is frayed and not great because he was fired there. Now, I think everybody likes to be back home, and home is home. Home is home for me. Home is home for you, Caleb. So if there was a complete administrative change that included Bob Stoops not being a part of the program any longer, which he is an advisor now, perhaps that door could be open. But as for now, you haven't even turned into the hallway where that door exists. Thoughts?
I think when Brent Venables struggles and Josh Heupel wins a national championship and has a Heisman quarterback in Nico over the next couple of years, I think with the SEC money that's coming in, Oklahoma is going to give Josh Heupel a king's salary. They will do whatever offer him. They will offer him the most record contract possible to get him to Norman. And yes, I think they will cut ties with Bob Stoops. I think they will willingly, because if you're Oklahoma at this point, you say, are we really going to hold on to a guy that won us 1 national title 25 years ago and sacrifice getting this coach who's great now, who also, by the way, was a part of winning that national title as a quarterback? I think the athletic department will finally say, hey, Bob Stoops, why don't you pack up and move out of Norman? We really don't want you near our campus anymore. As a matter of fact, you're banned from our campus now. You're not allowed on.
You're not going to ban Bob Stoops from their campus.
I think they are going to completely ice out Bob Stoops. They would take Bob Stoops' name off any rafters that are there to get Josh Heupel in a couple of years.
Okay.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. 4th down.
That's a lot of ifs. Okay. Let me just ask it this way. Scale of 1 to 10. How concerned should a Tennessee fan be now that we know this news about Brent Venables and they've re-upped to him? How concerned, scale of 1 to 10, should Tennessee fans be? I would say a 2 or a 3. You seem to think it's more significant.
I actually think 2 or 3. I think Tennessee can afford to keep Josh Heupel.
Oh, okay.
I'll go 4.
You think? Okay, well, let's do this.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. 4th down.
Would Tennessee match that? Yeah, of course they would.
Yes. And also, let's okay. Josh Heupel transferred to Oklahoma when he played for Mike Leach and Bob Stoops, but like he's from South Dakota. It's not like he grew up in Norman, a diehard Oklahoma fan. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't have any love for his alma mater. Of course he does. But this is I mean, Dave, you and I both know this. If Peyton Manning were an elite head coach, he wouldn't just immediately pick Tennessee. He picked the best place for him.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with a couple of comments from the message board that nailed it. Dylan says, I think Hype has made it and he's happy. I think he really clicks with Tennessee. I agree with that. I think the same thing for Tony Vitello. That's why, we reported it, but we were never really worried about Vitello going to Texas. Meade says, is a move from Tennessee to Oklahoma really that groundbreaking? Well, it would be a groundbreaking news story. What I think Meade means, and I'm not trying to type words in your mouth, but I think you mean, Meade, that would it be a big move for him? No, I think it is a lateral move. Do you not, Caleb? I mean, I think Tennessee and Oklahoma are about on the same level.
No, they're definitely on the same level, particularly now with Oklahoma in the SEC. Now, the only thing
As a matter of fact, I would have said it would be a step down before Oklahoma was in the SEC. I would have said Tennessee is a better job than Oklahoma. You?
No, I agree. The only thing I might hesitate on that though is, and I don't know, you can speak to this more than I have. I don't know how much but yeah, I know you didn't really cover recruiting out west. You covered it more on the east, but it seems like Oklahoma gets into Texas and plucks out talent a lot better than Tennessee does in Georgia. Not that Tennessee doesn't do it in Georgia, but Texas is almost a home state for Oklahoma recruiting, isn't it?
Yeah, they're pretty split. I mean, it feels. And I have covered enough prospects to have a feel for that. Robert Meacham was from Oklahoma. So, I have a feel for it. And it does kind of feel like, except for right around campus, that Oklahoma kind of feels like Chattanooga or Memphis, that there are a lot of different allegiances. And oftentimes, well, maybe more Chattanooga, because Chattanooga, it's pretty much Georgia, Alabama, or Tennessee. So you're down to 3 teams. I could see that. I mean, I think you bring up a very good point.
Yeah, it just throws me off because like Oklahoma competes equally with Texas for Texas kids, don't they? I mean, they're on the same footing for Texas kids. It feels like, which is crazy to me.
Oftentimes, where would you rather be? Okay, which is the better recruiting school? I know we're getting a little bit off topic here.
Where would I rather be between Austin and Norman? Austin all day.
No. Norman and Knoxville.
Oh, okay. Well, if Oklahoma and Tennessee.
See, I could make a strong argument with Atlanta nearby and the Carolinas nearby that I'd rather be in Knoxville. Because I'm gonna argue the in-state talent is slightly better in Tennessee, although I do not have facts to back that up. But
I agree with you.
I certainly will by tomorrow.
Tennessee has. You're right. They've gotten a couple of their two of their 3 most successful receiving seasons ever were with receivers from Oklahoma. Though you mentioned Robert Meacham, Marcus, whose record did he break? Dave, was Marcus Nash, who was also from Oklahoma.
Oh, good job.
Funny enough.
Yep.
So. They have had some success with a couple of kids from Oklahoma. By the way, one of the first recruiting wins I ever remember was Tennessee getting Robert Meacham out away from the Sooners, and the Oklahoma message boards, Dave, were livid. I was in high school at the time, and they felt Tennessee did something dirty to get him away from Oklahoma.
Tennessee, by the way, had 37 players that were on NFL rosters heading into the 2023 season. The state of Tennessee had 23 players. Texas led all with 187, which speaks to the point you made earlier, Florida 178, California 173, Georgia 150, Ohio State 67, North Carolina 66, Louisiana 64, Alabama 60, Pennsylvania 55, Michigan 51, Illinois 49, Maryland 48, New Jersey 39, South Carolina 39, then Tennessee 37, Virginia 36. I think you're close, maybe not yet, Caleb. I think you're close to having to backtrack on your Nashville take.
Tennessee. No, I never said Nashville doesn't have good talent. So I never did have to backtrack. One, I never said Nashville doesn't have good talent. I also never said, I've also pointed out the rest of the state has a lot of good talent. What I've said consistently is that Nashville recruits are overrated. That does not mean that there's not talent there. That means that they get way more stars than they should. And I've said this consistently. By the way, Texas recruits are overrated. Dave, Texas has the second most active NFL players right now. But that doesn't mean the recruits aren't overrated. They're just
they seem to always be overrated when Tennessee gets involved. By the way, have you noticed that every Texas prospect shows up at Tennessee and either gets he either can't play or he sells weed by the pounds. I'm not going to mention that player, but you know who I'm talking about. He played defensive tackle. Go ahead.
But yeah, Texas. There's overrated doesn't mean not good. It means that you aren't as good as national media says you are often. And Nashville kids have consistently been overhyped. That does not mean Nashville kids haven't worked out, but they have been given extra stars when they shouldn't have. And that has to do with a lot with the media conglomerates being in Nashville. I mean, I think that's a huge part of it. Let's point out that I want to get back to Oklahoma real quick, though, because I don't think we covered this part. I just wanted to point out Brent Venables' contract extends through 2029, and it is a $51.6 million deal, $8.5 million annually. So it's up from $43.5 million to $51.6 million. The buyout was not clear at this point, so I'm not sure what that is. But they also extended.
Well, now I want to see the buyout, because then it could be. I mean, you can just throw numbers. I mean, it could be a 20-year contract worth $500 million with a $50,000 buyout, and it's worth $50,000.
No,
that would be interesting seeing that.
That is true. Just to throw it out there, they also extended 2 assistants, one of whom apparently is DeMarco Murray is on that staff.
Couple of things. I just want you to know, if you're on the message board from about Crystal Down. Crystal, I don't understand your question. What if Lane saves Oklahoma? But a lot of good, if you can retop that in, but a lot of great questions that I want to get to that have to do with what we're talking about. How did Fulmer manage to get a top 5 class every year from 95 to 2003? Well, I give you the reason. Number one, their entire schedule was easier. So there were times that Philip Fulmer was able to focus more on recruiting than he had to, with 2 great coordinators at the helm, and John Chavis and David Kukla. The other thing, he knew it. I mean, he knew he had to work it that hard, and I think Fulmer deserves an awful lot of credit. Mead Drinker says, just say Heupel did leave UT, would we target Golish? I don't think so. I think Tennessee's at the point with another couple of 10-win seasons that they would be able to target whoever they wanted to in the entire NCAA. Dylan says what Golish did last year at USF was a miracle. Well, let's keep an eye on that, but let's see. In other words, if Josh Heupel said, I'm going to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys tomorrow, I think you can get bigger names than Golish, Caleb, like big names.
Golish may be the most in demand, though, by that point. Okay. So Tennessee may want Danny White may want Golish over anybody else.
Okay. Well, that would be totally cool. But just know that I know a lot of you had the battered ball syndrome. Coaching search nowadays wouldn't be like it's been previously. You agree with that? I mean, you would get phone calls back. I think there are times they've called people and they haven't even called back.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah. And then you get Gundied, where he just plays you, basically, which is exactly what he did to Tennessee to get more money from Oklahoma State a number of years.